What's up? Tim Sykes here with the troops. I wanted to make the analogy that stock trading is a battlefield. Let's not forget, before we get into everyone here who has really succeeded in a nice way, most traders lose, okay? Just like on the battlefield, if you're unprepared, you're gonna get annihilated. This is why if you are in the military, if you're a soldier, you go through training at first. You go through training without like live bullets, without the enemy all around you. That way you can be better prepared for the battlefield. That's what trading is. That's what teaching is. And I want to go around the room here just to help you guys explain what you've seen in your time in the battlefield of trading. We'll start with JCP first. How has the battlefield been treating you?
The battlefield right now, I'm winning right now, so I'm glad about that. But
you made $50,000 yesterday, today.
I did make $50,000 yesterday, but the battlefield isn't always so rewarding. Sometimes you got to grind it out. Sometimes you end up losing, and you got to learn from those lessons. You got to learn from the lessons.
$50,000 yesterday, today. Let's focus on that. You got to inspire people.
What did you bring to the battlefield yesterday? How did you collect $50,000?
Exactly.
So it all comes down to being prepared the night before. You got to put in the work, and you got to realize what you're going to be watching the next day, what's hot, what setups are there, and from there you just write them down, and then you narrow them down. And when the bell rings, you got to just show up and be laser focused and be ready to attack.
What were your setups yesterday?
Fannie Mae and BTQQF.
Beautiful. Yeah. $50,000 in a day. How does it feel?
It was the best day ever in a single day. It's kind of just like whatever right now. Kind of just want to go on to the next play and continue to trade well. Continue to survive in the battlefield.
Good. $250,000 last month, but the cool thing is you can literally size up and make that in a day. Speaking of $250,000 in a day, Jack Kellogg, when did you make $250,000 in a day lately?
I don't know. A lot of the days.
Right? You've been averaging $100,000 to $200,000 a day lately, right?
Yeah.
That feels amazing, but explain to people, how are you doing that? Because that's the dream for most people, but we know that you've sacrificed a lot for it too.
Yeah, so to make the analogy, I guess, on the battlefield and the war, is I'm really doing a lot of surveillance, right? I'm scoping out the lay of the land. I'm getting intel on the enemy's troops.
You're in the trenches.
I'm in the trenches coordinating everything, right? So what does that mean, right? What does that mean? It means that I'm getting up at 2, 3 in the morning. I'm sitting at my desk. I'm letting my body settle. I'm making sure there's no distractions. I'm making sure that I'm able to think and process my thoughts cleanly, crisp and clear. And I'm not letting stuff and distractions get in the way. I'm maximizing all my angles on the battlefield. I'm maximizing long trading, short trading, maximizing options, crypto, swing trading, long-term holds.
Real estate?
Real estate. That's not trading though. But I'm maximizing everything that I have the strategy to do. So on the battlefield, I have all my bases covered, right? I have somebody looking on we got a 360-degree barrier and wall of defense, right? And maybe my troops get taken out on my swing trading stocks, right? My swing trading, the market gaps down and flushes. But maybe with that happening, the market gaps down and flush, and I buy the dip on the market at the open, and then I sell it for 5–10% pop. So
you lose the battle, you win the war.
I'm always trying to win the war, right? I lose battles all throughout the day. But if I can win the war at the end of the day, that's how I'm going to be a profitable, consistent trader, and that's how I'm able to make this kind of money that I have been making.
This is what a lot of people don't understand. When you see JCP make 50K in a day, or Jack make 100 to 200K in a day, you think they're winning 100% of the time. They're not, okay? Their win rate is what? Your win rate's a little over 50%.
I think 58%, 59%.
And what's your win rate roughly?
35%.
Right? So this is the crazy thing. You don't have to win 100% of the time, 90%, 80% of the time. You cut your losses when you're wrong. You get out when it's not going right for whatever reason. Then your winners can be much bigger. So sometimes your winners are what, 5, 10 times the size of your losses, maybe even more.
Sometimes 20 times the size.
But that's the thing, right? So like, this is why Jack wakes up so early and he's going to bed so early, because, you know, with the analogy, if you're in war, there's a lot going on. You know, there's bombs going off, there's explosions. You got to try to think about all of that. If you stand up in the trenches and one bullet takes you out, you didn't think about that. You can have everything planned. One bullet can ruin your day, can literally end your life. That is trading. What if you ever like forget your position? Do you ever take like 17 positions and you forget one position?
I've never forgot, because I'm always double and triple analyzing my position box.
Right?
Sometimes I forget, but I'll notice right away, like, because I'm always doing the double check. I'm always double checking. I could never be like Gritani, his story where he left the position overnight on Kodak. I don't know how he did that, but for me, I'm always checking to make sure, because at the end of the day, when the market's going to close, when I'm checking in the hour, making sure that everything is how I'm supposed to have it. And if it's not, then I'm re-coordinating and re-attacking my positions.
Good analysis. Eric, how have you been doing on the battlefield lately?
It's good. I made $95,000 last month, and I changed a couple things. That's helped me a lot. The battlefield, what I do is the preparation and the knowledge. That's the key. Before I do anything, I prep myself and analyze myself. Like this, I didn't know this one before. I learned. Most of the time I make the money 4 a.m., 7 a.m., and 2:30. And most of the time I lost the money 8 o'clock and 12 o'clock. That's the reason what we did with the Jack. 12 o'clock we are off the screen, we go walk or we cook something, you know, then we're gonna come back and do it. So if you analyze and, you know, you analyze yourself, analyze where you're doing the battle, and you're gonna know where you're gonna attack, and you're gonna know where you're gonna protect your troop.
Yeah.
So that's the important. You know, you have to know where you're making money, where you're losing. If you don't do analyze, it's not good, because you don't know how you're gonna attack or how you're gonna protect it. You know, you have to have smart move. It looks like the chess. You know, you have to analyze your, you know, enemy who's you playing against, and then you're gonna find out what's the weak part, and you're gonna attack that area.
Sometimes the enemy is yourself. That's the interesting thing with trading, right? We've all been at battle with ourselves sometimes, trading too big, trading too often. You know, when you have a big win, like Jack made a video the other day when he had a big win, one of his biggest mistakes is that he keeps going and then he goes too big, and then you lose the big wins and then you feel like crap. Yeah. Right?
Let me edit this one like this. I was losing whole week $2,000 8 o'clock and about $1,000 to $2,000 in between 12 to 1 o'clock, because it was so choppy. After I analyze and I say I'm gonna cutting off, I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah.
So when you add it 5 days, I was about the $10,000 gain because I cut that, you know. So that's really important.
So you corrected the mistake.
Correct.
And this is the thing in war too, like not every general, not every country wins every single battle, but you learn from the mistakes. If some troops aren't doing well, if some battle isn't doing well, you adapt and you pivot and you try different strategies. That's what trading is. Nothing here is an exact science. None of us win 100% of the time. What's your winning percentage?
It's 62%.
62%. So think about that. Like 35, 55, 62. Stratty, what's your winning percentage?
Like 35.
35%. And how much did you make last month?
$100,000.
$100,000, which is amazing. How does it feel?
So the war's still going on.
The war is still going on. Well said, right?
Nothing's been won yet.
What were you battling yesterday? You had some demons that you were battling.
Nothing. Like I've been winning for a few weeks now, and like that's when the demons, I don't know if demon's the right word, but like these things start to come out and you start wanting to trade bad, and instead of falling for it and succumbing to it, you know, I tried to do the right things and then just got back on track. But that used to get me months ago. But those were little battles that I'm starting to win now. And that's going to help me win the bigger war. But it's little battles every day.
What was the battle that you used to lose and now you win?
He would shoot someone on the battlefield, he'd get a kill, and then he'd be like, yeah! And then all of a sudden, boom, right in the back.
You get cocky, right?
You put your guard
You would
down.
expose yourself. You would show excitement.
But that's why he's saying like the war, the battle keeps going, because now he's learned from that, right? This happens all the time. It's only natural, especially in the beginning. You get excited for your gains. You're like, this is awesome. Then maybe you go out so hard, you celebrate the next day, you're too hungover, and then you miss a better play. Maybe you get so excited and you're like, let me go double the next time. Then you go too big and you lose. You have to stay in the groove. Jack and I talk about this all the time. You know, when you're on a hot streak, you do what you can to stay on that hot streak. You don't try to bet too big. You don't try to veer off and be like, you know what, I'm winning every single time. Let me bet 10 times as much. You have to think about the different danger zones, okay? Obviously, war is different. You know, it's not a perfect analogy because you're risking your life. But in trading, you're risking your finances, right? If you ever bet too big, if you ever get too cocky, let's say you go all in, you use leverage, you can get blown up. And then many people, we know traders who get too aggressive and they blow up and they don't come back, right? How many traders would you know that have succumbed to their injuries on the battlefield?
At least probably 50.
50 individual traders. What was their mistakes?
Their mistakes was just blowing out at the wrong time.
Betting too big.
Betting too big. So one of the lessons that has always stuck with me that Tim harps on all the time too is Jesse Livermore. He was one of the best stock operators of
Ever.
all time. Of all time. And he went all in, leverage, full port on the market bottom way back in the day.
1931.
1931, all in on the dip, leverage, and he was 3% or 4% too early. He blew out, and then he killed himself because he blew out. He was dead right on the thesis on buying the dip.
It's just early.
He was just early. So that always sticks with me. It doesn't matter how right you are. If you bet too big, too quick, and it goes a little bit more, and you blow out, and then you can't get back in, or you get back in with too much size, you're done. So it's always good for me. The big thing that I do is just start in with the small size, and then once it starts proving itself and you have a level, you don't need to go all in 4x leverage, but you can do a bigger position as you kind of are right more and more. Like I'd rather add to a winner versus add to a loser, because you don't know when that blowout's going to come.
You get bigger with more size when you see a play working or a strategy working. You don't go bigger when you're like, this has to work, and you start fighting the market. I know many traders, maybe they don't even blow up, but they try to fight the market. They're like, I'm right, the market is wrong, and you don't have to do that, right? Like, you don't have to necessarily take these big losses or even put yourself in these hugely stressful or hugely risky situations, right? If you play with fire, it's not a question of if you're going to get burned, it's when and how badly. And if you keep, let's say, going all in or using leverage, or even not even going all in, but you take risky bet after risky bet, you're not meticulous, you're not prepared, you will succumb to your injuries. It's an inevitability. And this happens with many traders. All of us have been trading. How many years have you been trading, JCB?
Going on 10.
10 years? How many years have you been trading?
Ninth year.
Ninth year? How many years? 6?
5.
5, right? So these guys have all been trading several years, and they've learned a lot about their trading. And now they're all profiting quite nicely because the market is just insane, but they've learned a lot about themselves. They stay in the groove, and frankly, they're succeeding as a result. And it's not just about how much money you're making. Are you happier, JCP, when you make a smaller amount, but it's a well-planned, meticulous trade?
100%.
Right?
I'm way happier when I execute my plan and I don't force a trade. Usually when I force an idea and I'm too early, that's when I get blown out and I don't have my seat at the battlefield anymore. So what I like to do is when I see something that I really like, I don't take all my shots at once. I like to kind of ease my way and maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 shots. And
See where the bullet's kind of going to fly first before you put the
hollow
point in?
You don't want to empty the magazine if you don't have the night vision and it's nighttime, right? You want to just wait 2, 3 shots. You have your full size. It's going in your favor, and you can just keep adding to the winner.
I mean, do you guys do that? Because they both do that. Do you
Yes.
size in small at first and you're testing?
Yep,
You
I
gotta
do
ease
that.
in. You have to. You gotta ease in.
Right?
And then go for it. Add to the winners.
Especially if it's work with your plan and you size up and you know how much money you're gonna make it before the trade ends. And sometimes when I get some trade I don't have the preparation and I figure out I start to losing, I start to get stressed. That's the worst feeling.
So you still make undisciplined trades sometimes.
Sometimes, yes, but I'm start to cutting off because I have to cut it off,
Stratty, do you make undisciplined trades?
Yeah, but if you do it that way, even those trades, it's gonna be very small money. So
Paper cuts.
when I'm screwing around, it's on those little positions. By the time I'm in big, I'm dead right. So the only options are big win, small loss. So if you're going way too big too early, that's when it starts to get messy. So if you are gonna be undisciplined or paper cutting, just keep it small and build into winners, and that's how you're going to go to battle.
Well, last time I was here, you had a giant loss. What happened?
Right. I was doing that, but I did it like 15 times in a row. So paper cut, paper cut, paper cut, paper cut. Those are warning shots. So sometimes, I don't know, if we're talking about war, like you have to retreat. Like it's not always going to be your day. So not being stubborn, like stubborn people get killed. So if I can see that I got shot a couple times, maybe you can't take this on today. Then you reset, come back the next day.
Yeah.
It never ends. So you don't have to be dead that day. Like the game is to just stay alive. Just hang around long enough till it gets easier. So.
That's a great analysis. And you know, myself, like all these guys have been crushing it lately. I've been in Asia, I've been sick, I've been over trading, I sized in at the wrong time. I actually had a red month in December. So all these guys have been crushing it and I felt like crap losing. But I lost a little. I protected my overall gains for the year. Yeah, it would be nice to like finish the year strong, but like, you know, I see what I did wrong. But again, I retreated. It's okay to have a red day, a red week, even a red month. Do you guys ever have red months anymore?
Yeah, of course.
But it happens.
I had 5 red months last year. 5.
But your green months were much more than your red months, so you won overall.
Way bigger.
That's the key. So you can have losses. Like this is what I want you guys to understand. I get so many messages from people who think that you have to have perfect track records. Like, you know, some of us can see the future. We can't. None of us can see the future. We just manage our emotions, we manage our losses, and like Stratty says, we learn to retreat, okay? Retreating is a big thing in the markets. You can come up with any kind of thesis, you can be any single trade, but if it's not working for whatever reason, retreat. Like Stratty said, pull back, live to trade another day. Okay? Already, this is a few days into January, I'm already green. I've already made back most of my losses in December in just 2 days of trading in January. And I've also been very safe in January, so I've been extra safe. That's what you have to do. If you want to be a successful trader, you realize that your gains add up much more over time. But you can't let the losses get to you. You can't just, you know, hodl. You can't just get stubborn. That is what blows up traders. You know, the 50 traders that you know, they got stubborn, right? They probably, most if not all, had a chance to lose smaller, but they didn't take it, right?
There's, I think it's hard for people to cut losses, or it's hard for people to retreat, because if you're a trader, I already think that you have the ambitious human nature. You want to go get after it. You want to dig your heels in, and you want to be successful, and you want to fight, and you want to do all this stuff. So a person who's going to retreat more easy probably is never going to trade anyway, because they don't have the ambition to run out into the battlefield, right? So they don't plan on turning around ever. But it's part of the game, and you have to be able to retreat, and you also have to be able to run into the battlefield. So if you can control your emotions and control yourself, that's the best thing. For me, I always try to look on a outside perspective in, so I kind of go out of my body and look down on myself. How am I trading? What am I doing? And if I know in my gut, and I know by looking down on myself that I'm about to fuck up huge, I need to retreat, and I need to get the out of there as soon as possible. You know what I mean? And then if something's working good, I need to keep going and keep pushing, because this is the time to win.
Yeah, and if you watch a lot of war movies, a very common battle tactic, and actually if you study history, is you fake a retreat, and then you lure the enemy in, the enemy gets too cocky, and then you surround them and you flank the enemy, and then the retreat is fake. So sometimes you have to retreat in trading in order to win. Lose the battle, win the war. Anyways, we got to get going. Leave a comment below. Let us know if you are succeeding on the battlefield, if you're surviving on the battlefield, and you recognize that every single day there's another battle to fight. There's always more opportunities for victories, but you got to be on the battlefield, and you need the proper tools. I'm going to include a bunch of different links below. JCP and Jack both have the power signal indicator. They're using the 7-figure cycles. They're in the challenge. Jack's actually giving weekly webinars in the challenge. Stratty, actually get excited. We have something special with the inner circle. If you click a link below with that. Eric's coming up too. Let's win!